And the other one was rehab neuropsychology. Neuropsychology is study of brain function. And rehabilitation neuropsychology is, rather than doing a bunch of tests and talking about percentiles and not knowing what to tell people about how you manage cognitive problems, I was in the trenches trying to figure out what you do about it. So that's where I come from. I worked for the guy who started the field of brain injury rehab, Henry Stonington, and that came as a result of World War II and a lot of people coming back with brain injuries and not knowing what to do about it. And there was a push, and then especially in the 70s, he decided to start a journal, and that was the International Journal of Brain Injury, and it just became known as Brain Injury. And he started the International Association for the Study of Traumatic Brain Injury. He did it only because no one knew anything about brain injury. He was actually a really great rheumatologist. He could treat the kind of chronic pain disorders that people today don't know how to treat. He was the kind of guy who expected a whole lot. I mean, these people are coming in and they've got massive problems, and he didn't want to hear any crap. He figured out how to help them. So that was my baptism. And I was trained pretty well, but when I walked in the door and saw someone with post-traumatic dysesthesia, arm was ripped off, and it still hurt them like crazy. They couldn't tolerate the pain, and it wasn't even there. And they had a brain injury too, so they couldn't problem solve their way out of a paper bag or remember anything. I try to come up with strategies, and there just plain weren't a whole lot of them. So you had to scour every place you could think of. So that's, my approach was very practical. What am I going to do about it? And so that's where I come from. I'll take it back a little farther. We're born into the world and we are helpless. So we by nature are born scared of everything. And if you aren't, you're going to probably die. And when you're born, if you aren't crying, they smack you on the butt and make you cry. Because otherwise they aren't sure you're cognitively normal. You have to be afraid because everything can kill you and your only defense is crying. So we're born innately scared of physical danger. So let me ask you, if you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, no warm-blooded anything, they're cold-blooded. They don't have emotions. Next part of the brain is the midbrain, and that's your limbic system. Mammals have that. They're not warm-blooded. They need to attach. They have to be loved. They have to have people they connect to. So attachment becomes critical. The capacity to love. And along with that, fear, anger. Reptiles don't get mad at you. If your dog, you don't feed your dog, he's going to get mad at you. That all comes with mammals, basically from the ability to smell. Reptiles can't smell, or at least primitively. Mammals can smell, and right behind those olfactory bulbs is this thing called the hippocampus. And that's the seat of memory. So now you got emotions, and you got memory, and emotions mean everything from hate to love, fear, etc. So all that goes together, and the need to attach. So that's the second part of the brain, and that's right here. Now on top here, this is the latest part of the brain. That's the neocortex, your frontal lobes. Only humans and perhaps whales and dolphins have a little bit of that too. But that's now a system where this is all reflex. This is memory, a little bit of learning, ability to modify instincts a little bit based on learning, and to have especially important values for attaching. Need to be attached. It also means fear of rejection and abandonment. And this is critical. This is going to tie in next. Fear of rejection and abandonment is the other side of fulfilled attachment and love. So when you start getting to emotional part of man's brain, you can break it all down mostly to, are you confident in attaching, or do you fear rejection and abandonment? And then the third part, this we developed, this is the ability to think and to plan and to understand the hows and the whys and to pull in all your memories and make logical decisions. And that requires a subtle balance between the limbic system, the emotions, and your thinking. And ideally, we're supposed to have top-down control. So your frontal lobes control your limbic system and say, yeah, I want to punch my boss, I want to kick him, but I know better than that. I'll get him later. No.
Okay.
Every old psychiatrist knows it. And OCD, there's also, I can give a handout on that. Here it is. Get your OCD handout. I've been doing this a long time, and the only thing is this guy named Jeffrey Schwartz.
Okay.
And is this it? Yeah, this is a 4-step procedure. You usually need a therapist to do it, but the fact is, if you read the book and work at it hard, probably any bright person could do it to themselves. And that's using this, and these are just a few examples.
Okay.
That is the stuff. And in fact, that same model represents a lot of what I've done in a lot of different disorders.
Okay.
That's